Alright, so over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've managed to watch High Score, Console Wars, and a couple episodes of the Video Game Years. I'm digging the Video Game Years, by the way. It's neat if you grew up in that era or if that era interests you. It's got some good stuff. Now, I'm not a big fan of the fact that they got Pat the NES Punk on there because I realize that I complain. But this dude complains about everything. Good stuff, complain. Bad stuff, complain. Stuff that's not worth complaining about, complain. Just complaining. He probably complains about complaining. You know, it goes on and it's redundant. But anyway, overall the show's good. I started last night with Not For Resale. I'll probably do some kind of review or reaction to that later. But as far as High Score goes, High Score was not bad. I totally think Sega got snubbed on it because there's no mention of the Master System at all. And I kind of get the idea that this was like the highlights of the era. And that's fine, but you got a very good foundation to have a seasonal show that keeps going. And there's plenty of material, considering some of the stuff I watch on the Gaming Historian, Metal Jesus Rocks, just GameSack, any of those, they'll cover a lot of material. There's a ton of stuff somebody could do with that, and then just kind of keep the High Score show going, and I hope they do. I haven't heard anything or read anything or seen anything, and nobody's told me about whether or not it was just a one-off. But the show I thought was done really well. Now, I'm a big Sega fan. If I had my choice, I would trade Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo all for a new Sega console. I have pretty much accepted that I'll probably never get one unless it's a mini or a classic or something like that. But I really think that even from a non-Sega fan perspective, Sega kind of got snubbed on that. Now, Nintendo dominated during that time, so they rightfully should have got most of the time, but from what I saw, Nintendo got, as an independent entity, not a string of other things, Nintendo got way more coverage than anything else, and it makes me wonder what their criteria was to base that show on. But anyway, like I said, I was impressed with it. If you haven't watched it yet, it's definitely worth a watch. Now it is a documentary, which anybody watching this probably already knows. But it was a hell of a good show to watch, especially if you're killing time. Now, Console Wars, I loved. I think they missed a couple key parts they should have had, like maybe digging into the Sega CD and the 32X more. But honestly, I was really impressed with it. I was happy to watch it. I need to go back and watch it again, but it was done well. I think that it was an awesome idea to come from the approach of Sega versus Nintendo, David versus Goliath sort of thing. I kind of wish they would have done like a build up to it though, where they mentioned the Fairchild, the Odyssey. Maybe even a little more Atari, because realistically speaking, there was competition in the market beforehand that led to this explosion between Nintendo and Sega, just going out and at it. And the real entertaining part is when it was not really Nintendo versus Sega, but like the main guy at Nintendo versus the main guy at Sega of America. They even brought up a part where, spoiler alert, where they were almost ready to fist fight. I thought that was great. Laughed a little bit at it. But overall, it's kind of disappointing to see that Sega had everything they needed to take down the giant, and that Sega of Japan guy was just really, he was an asshole. Let's put it that way. So now when I tell people I'm a Sega fan, I got to throw out there I'm a Sega of America fan, because realistically speaking, the stuff Sega of Japan did is gross. It was terrible, and it was stupid, and completely if everything they said is true, completely lay the demise of Sega's console division at the feet of Captain Comeover. He's got a Japanese name. I'm sorry, I'm not up on Japanese names, but the guy who's in charge of Sega Japan. So from now on, when I say I'm a Sega fan, I'm a Sega of America fan, because I loved Sega growing up. I still love Sega. It's still my go-to brand. A lot of the games they make for other consoles are still my favorite. I thought Sonic Forces was fantastic. Wasn't my favorite. Definitely wasn't the best. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was a fun game to play. And anymore, my thing is it distracting? Because there's rarely a game that comes out that's so good and groundbreaking like they used to be. The difference between Atari and Nintendo was extreme. There was more to it. I appreciate it when these console manufacturers actually put some thought into doing something different. I know a lot of people don't like the Move or the Kinect, but they were different. It was a chance. They took it, and it was awesome. And none of that, I actually like the Kinect and the Move. I have a good time with them. House of the Dead on the Move is great. And then some of the Kinect games. Hell, whenever my kids are driving me nuts, go play Fruit Ninja for an hour. Wears them right out. It's a tool. And they work efficiently. They're not the best working things in the world, and who could expect them to? I actually like the Kinect on the 360 better than the Kinect on the One. But, beyond that, I highly recommend those shows. What I saw of Not for Resale, I would recommend it at this point. I think anybody who's really into gaming can see themselves as a independent game store owner and think that would be awesome. That girl on Metal Jesus Rocks who owns a game store, I think her name's Kinsey. I don't remember. Her store's awesome. I don't have any plans to ever go to Washington for any reason. I mean, I'm in Indiana, so I'm not close. I'm far away. But if I ever make it up there, I'm definitely making her shop one of my main stops while I'm up there. I think it'd be just fantastic, and I'm still kind of kicking myself in the ass for spending a week in Pittsburgh and not taking advantage of going to a few of the places that they have. It's unfortunate when you get a missed opportunity, but now that I have the information, I don't make that mistake again. Seems like I live in a black hole for gaming, so watching these shows is great, especially retro gaming. We got a place called Hollywood Movies and Games in Clarksville, Indiana, and anybody in the area or coming through the area that wants to just see a neat store, you don't even have to buy anything, I recommend going in there. The owner's kind of a nice guy. I think he's a little expensive, but he's also selling this stuff completely restored. So when you're a bargain hunter like me and you fix your own stuff, you don't really like paying $70 for a Dreamcast. You'd rather buy a broken one, pay $20, fix it for $10, and then for what you would have spent that $70 on, get on AliExpress, put a GDEMU in it, call it a day. Completely modded, maybe a Pico power supply or something. But beyond that, there's nowhere to go here. My options are online, basically. So I love when people suggest to me mom and pop game shops that actually have an online website. It's great. Even the thrift shops around here and the Goodwill and all that stuff, I hardly ever find anything. I have more luck with flea markets than anything else, but the flea markets around here are few and far between, more like Peddler's Mall. And I appreciate when somebody goes in there and finds something I might like, and then I have the information, I can go in and get it. But I hate going into those places because I want to pick something up and get a good deal. They're too cluttered and overwhelming, and I don't do good with crowds. I'm not a big fan of people. A person is awesome, but when you get people in mass numbers shopping, looking out for number one, you get a lot of jerks and jackasses, people that don't say excuse me. And as much as I'm not, love everyone sort of person. I'm a show everyone respect sort of person. I don't have to like you, but as long as you don't do something to make me lose respect for you, you have my respect. But beyond that, I recommend those shows. I know I kind of went on a tangent off of them, but anybody who is looking for something to watch, kill some time, maybe have some background noise. That's what originally started me with High Scores. I needed some background noise while I was doing a Fram mod on a Saturn. And I ended up really enjoying it enough to where I burned myself with a soldering iron. And more than once spilled the flux. But still worked. Still out good. Just had to do a little bit more cleaning and a Band-Aid. But I appreciate you watching. Have a good one.